Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second episode. We made it to 2 episodes. Can you believe it?
I really can't. I didn't think I'd get through the first.
Yeah, it was pretty touch and go sometimes. This is episode 2 of the Potsie Chronicles. Welcome. If you're just joining us, you can listen to the other episode where we watched episode 1, season 1 of Happy Days. Guess what we watched this week? Can you guess what we watched this week? Well, you know, but do you want to tell everyone what we watched this week?
Happy Days.
Yes, it was Happy. Do you remember what episode or what season it was? I'll give you a hint. Last week we watched episode 1 of season 1. What do you think we watched this week?
I kind of forgot how to count, but I'll go with season 1, episode 2.
Yes, season 1, episode 2 of Happy Days. It was quite a difference from last week. Now, I'll just say there were still kind of, I guess you would say, sexual references, not as much as all the way. I mean, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know. But, you know, there were still some references littered throughout the episode, if you will.
Yeah, they certainly didn't go all the way like last episode.
Yeah. So we're going to dive into that. It looks like there are 6 episodes. Again, I didn't research this before, but on the menu, the DVD menu, if you will, because if you go back and you listen to the first episode, we had to get this on DVD. Just real quick, we're being completists here, going in order. None of the streaming services has the complete Happy Days where you can just watch and stream every episode. So I had to get the DVD. It looks like there's 6 episodes. January of 1974. This seems like it would have been a mid-season replacement. So that's probably why there were only 6, but we're on episode 2. One of my fears, though, is I got this DVD set from the library. I'm hoping that there isn't a rush on season 1 Happy Days, because that'll throw a proverbial wrench into our plan of watching it in order. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So please, if you hear the sound of my voice, do not request season 1 Happy Days at your local library for about another month. I think if there's only 4 more episodes, about another month, we should be through season 1. So please.
Yeah, let us hold on to it.
Yeah, do us that solid if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Season 1, episode 2 was called The Lemon. So if you didn't know anything about anything, what would you think? You did see the episode, but let's pretend you didn't for a second. What would you think The Lemon would be about?
I don't really know any references to any lemons except maybe just how it can be sour. So I didn't know how I could put that into perspective. I don't know. I was just thinking something sour would happen. I don't know what, but
you know what? Maybe we should write like an alternate Happy Days. That would be good. Like if somebody got sour because they were mad. But yeah, The Lemon feels like it's an old-timey term for a car that doesn't work so good. Now, they could still use it. I haven't heard the term lemon used for a car, maybe even ever. I mean, maybe like on TV or something, but nowadays you don't hear someone say, "Oh, my car is a lemon." So that I can totally see how you would have no idea that the lemon might refer to a car that isn't the best.
Yeah, I was like completely confused because I was like, is this episode just going to be this lemon causes them a bunch of trouble or something? Or is the episode just going to be about this whole lemon or
like perhaps one of them, maybe Ralph Malph would have a allergy to lemons. I don't know if they had food allergies back in the 1950s. It definitely seems like there's more food allergies now. So probably if you were watching and I don't know if this was January or February 1974 and Ralph Malph is like, "Hey, I'm allergic to lemons," they might have been like, what? Is that even a thing? You know? So anyways, yes, the lemon refers to car, which we're going to dive right into. So the opening credits of Happy Days, we talked a little bit about it last week. Still rock around the clock. No Sunday, Monday Happy Days, which we'll see at the end. Again, we don't know what lyrics, how much we could quote lyrics on podcasts. But we talked about the opening credits and like how they say starring and the stars. We didn't talk about some of the, I don't know what you'd call it, but scenes that they shot for the opening credits. So, for example, the two couples in the convertible, and the convertible goes up, and the girl in the front seat's hair comes off. Remember that?
Yeah.
So, like, I pretty much just described what it was. Her hair, the convertible goes up, her hair goes up. But one thing that's interesting is she has a bun. You can see when she's just kind of screaming like that. She has a bun tied up underneath the wig, and the bun looks like it's very big, like she has the same amount of hair. I don't know a lot about beauty, but it seems she has the same amount of hair tied up in a bun as the wig that she just lost. Did you notice that too?
Yeah. Is it like, what's kind of the point in the wig?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because it's not like her hair was like really short. She had a big bun in the back, but I don't know. Maybe there's something to do with that. So, and then there was one where the waitress spills the food and drink on the cops. If you remember that one.
Yeah.
Like it's a car hop, and she comes by and like and then they like kind of turn like, huh? And then there was kind of a very homoerotic one, if you will, for the 70s, where Potsie and Richie both put their arms around a date and they kind of touch. They put their arms around the date, and then they realize that they're holding hands, and they look at each other like, ah! And then they move their hands. What'd you think about that?
I mean, go Richie and Potsie. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of crazy that they didn't notice that they weren't holding their date's hand, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like a man's hand and a woman's hand, you would be able to notice. One would be smaller, one would be bigger.
And I would think that they would see like semantics. They would think, hey, if I reach this far out, I will be touching hands with the other guy. Not, you know what I mean? Like if they're sitting in the middle, like they would think, oh, I put my hand there, I'm probably going to be touching Potsie's hand. I guess they didn't think about that before. So, yeah, some interesting things in the opening credits. Okay, so we pan in. It's not Arthur's anymore. It is now Arnold. So, unless I'm mistaken, for the rest of the series, we have Arnold's. So, Arnold's restaurant is what it is, which is what I remember. So, Richie and Potsie are in a car that is apparently Richie's father's car, and everybody's making fun of them. Like, I think it's Betsy and Lucy. It's probably not Betsy and Lucy. We need to take a note to take notes next week. Let's remember to take a note so that we can take notes to take notes. Betsy and Lucy, let's just say. I know it's not Lucy. I'm pretty sure it's Betsy. It could be Betty. Let's just call them Betsy and Lucy for right now. Betsy and Lucy come out, and like they're like, hey, where's the funeral? To Richie and Potsie sitting in their parents' car. And then Richie's like, this is my dad's car. And then Ralph Mouth pulls up, and the ladies decide to get in Ralph Mouth's convertible.
What is it with Ralph Mouth and the ladies? And also, didn't he mention something about a hickey?
Yeah, I think that comes later, yes.
Okay.
But you're correct. Ralph Mouth, the girls go off with Ralph Mouth. And then Fonzie comes in again with that kind of gray jacket, and he mocks them without, again, saying a word. It's becoming kind of problematic that the coolest character in television history is not saying a lot. He comes out and, like, he just kind of laughs, but you don't hear him laugh. And they're like, oh, the Fonz just laughed at us, or something of that nature.
Yeah.
So they're really bummed about this. Ralph Mouth gets the two girls, not just one, but the two girls right off with Ralph Mouth in his cool car. And Fonzie kicks them when they're down, if you will. So they decide, hey, we got to get a car. And then we cut to, I almost said Arthur's, but it is Arnold's now. I got to remember to say Arnold's. We cut to Arnold's, and Potsie and Richie are in there talking. And I don't know if you noticed this, but there was no laugh track when they were talking. Like, it kind of was disturbing. Like, they're making jokes, but nobody's laughing. That's not that canned laughter. Potsie's like, gee, I got to take the bus to go to the sock hop. What if the bus breaks down? And then there's like no laughter. And I'm like,
Yeah, that was kind of weird. They had laugh tracks in the other parts, so were they not joking?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking is, oh, maybe this doesn't have a laugh track. But then, as you'll see, we'll talk about it in a little bit. Laugh tracks do appear. And then Potsie's like, hey, you should just tell your dad if he doesn't buy you a car, you won't eat for a day. And Richie's like, I can't do that. And Potsie's like, why? Because I get a headache if I don't eat. And there's just silence.
I especially don't think that they're evolving so quickly when it's season 1, episode 2.
Yeah. So they're talking about apparently a sock hop is coming up. They want to take the 2 girls that left with Ralph Mouth. You would think that maybe they'd set their standards a little higher. I don't know what it was like back in the 50s, but, if 2 girls left with Ralph Mouth, I probably would look elsewhere.
Just saying, there's a lot more fish in the sea. So.
Exactly. Yes. I feel like that might be a deal breaker. 2 girls leaving with Ralph Mouth. And again, the car didn't look that bad. It kind of looked like a station wagon. Do you know what a station wagon is? I didn't even think.
I have no idea.
Okay. So again, this is another good example of why we did this. So a station wagon was kind of a family car back in the day. I can't really describe the build. We'll Google a picture later of a station wagon. Now it might be, and this might also be dating it to a minivan. Do you know what a minivan is?
No.
Okay, never mind. So let's just say it was like a family car. I think that they were concerned the girls didn't want to get into the family automobile for some reason. So Richie and Potsie come up with a plan. They're going to buy a car. Now, Richie has $100. Potsie has $75, which I'm not a mathematician nor a history buff, but $175, I feel like in the 50s you could buy a house with it.
I got to say, too, going back a bit,
yeah,
if you need a car to try and get a woman or something, I don't think they're the right person.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I mean. But yet they're very dedicated for Betsy and Lucy. And again, I know her name isn't Lucy, and I'm pretty sure her name isn't Betsy, but we're going to call them that through this episode.
Yeah, we forgot to take notes.
Yes, we got to remind next week. Okay, we'll set a reminder. Okay, so yes, $175. That seems like a lot of money back then. They're going to pull it together. And, apparently Potsie doesn't realize that they want to go 50-50. And Richie's like, hey, we're going 50-50. I have 100, you have 75. And Potsie's like, well, keep the spare tire at your house. And I believe that was when there was also no laugh track. Like, that's when the canned laughter should have been going wild.
I gotta say, with that $175, that does not sound like a lot of money now. Like, that sounds like you can't even buy a bag of chips with that amount of money.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to go so far as to say, like, you couldn't even get your car repaired for $175. But yes, I think you did me one better, and you can't even buy a bag of chips for $175. But back then, it seems like you could get anything for $175.
Yeah, like, you were basically a billionaire, it seems.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, they're like $175. That's not much. So I come up with this plan. Then we cut to the Cunningham house and we see Howard. Again, the vision that we have of Howard as a problematic father, in my opinion, will not go away with this episode. And we will get into that. So Howard's on the couch with Joni, the daughter, who's, I don't know how old she is. I'm not good with ages, but I'm going to say maybe 7, 8, something like that. 6, 7. No, not 6, 7. So he's on the couch with Joni, and it looks like he's watching some wrestling with Joni. And he mentions Gorgeous George, who was a wrestler back in the 50s, which would make sense since this is when Happy Days was taking place. And he's getting all into it. And then he knocks his daughter off of the couch. He's so excited. And she's mad that he knocks her off. So again, the vision of the problematic Howard Cunningham doesn't go away with this episode.
Didn't he say something like, wow, you could just like move away or something, right?
Yeah, I think he said, well, you could have moved or something like that. So he blames his own faults on his, let's just say, 8-year-old daughter. And then I believe Mary and the mother comes in and And Joni's complaining that like she has a broken arm or a broken leg.
Gotta say, what a great father.
Yeah. So Marion comes in and she's like, hey, turn the TV off, Howard. And he's like, oh, there's only one more fall, which is kind of crazy that in the 50s, maybe there was a best of 3 falls on TV. I'm not sure. And then Richie comes in and he's like, hey, don't bother me. I'm watching wrestling. Then just out of nowhere, he's like, turn it off. I don't even care to see this anyways. Then he mocks wrestling. He says, those guys aren't athletes. They're just a bunch of actors. And I'm like, sir, about a minute ago, you knocked your daughter to the ground. Literally, you were so excited. And now you're mocking these men's livelihood.
Yeah, you literally just hurt your daughter.
Yes.
Over it.
Yeah, over it. And then you're just so frustrated. You're mocking the whole livelihood. And then he talks about like Megan Matt Lady or something. I guess that must have been Gorgeous George's valet or something. Like she's the only good one. And then back in the 50s, that would be a real insult. So you're insulting the man. Yeah. So Richie comes in. He tells his father the plan that they want to buy a car. And the dad's really not into it, which I'm thinking like, you know, it's their money. They want to buy a car. I don't really see a problem with that. But he's like, Richie, you got to be responsible. And it's like, well, if they're spending money for a car, that does seem kind of responsible.
Yeah, I mean, his advice wasn't really the greatest. He was just like, you should get a car in high school or college, not now.
Yeah, he says to them, you know, you need to finish college before you get a car, which I don't know much about the history of the 50s, but I would feel if Richie is going to college, he probably should have his own car so he could go back and forth, unless like the college is across the street, which it very well may be, but still, you'd think he'd need a car.
Especially if he's going to college and everything, he's still going to have to transport himself to the gas station and the grocery store. Yeah, and Arnold's, yeah.
So then Howard Cunningham's like, don't make any rash decisions. And then Richie's like, yeah, I'm going to get a car. And then they make a joke like, oh, well, I guess you're not making rash decisions. Then the laugh track that we needed for 175 is not 50-50 comes in. And I believe, did the laugh track, kind of going back a little bit, did it happen when he knocked his daughter to the floor? Did the non-existent crowd laugh at that?
I can't remember.
Think that there was canned laughter at least when she told her mom how injured she was, which, wow.
See, I forgot my pen. So.
Yeah. So anyways, not making rash decisions. Then, if I'm not mistaken, we cut to the car in the driveway, which to me, I know I've said it before, I don't know much about 1950s lore, but the car that they had looked much worse than the father's car that he was driving. Again, I know that was a station wagon, but this one doesn't have a headlight. Something's fallen off of it, hence the name The Lemon. And they're all excited about the car.
Doesn't he? I don't know if we're to that part yet, but he hits the trunk. Yeah. And then the horn just wouldn't stop going off.
Yeah. Howard comes out to kind of, do the little I told you so to Richie and Potsie, but he doesn't. Kind of passive aggressive. Again, not. Hopefully they turn this character around, but he's like kind of passive aggressive coming out there to see the car, and he's making all these comments on how bad the car is. And yeah, I believe that the horn goes off and then they couldn't get it. And then there was something called like a Nash seat, where apparently that's what they would use to make out. Like the driver's side seat fell down, which definitely seems kind of dangerous, even in a car that wasn't a Lemon.
I gotta also say, that family car compared to that car, it's kind of weird because there isn't really a point in that white car in having locks. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Because they can just hop right in.
Yeah.
And then with the family car that you can't really do that, I mean, you could probably put yourself through the window or whatnot.
I don't know what automobile theft was like in the 1950s. Maybe they didn't even think about it back then. I don't know. Maybe there'll be an episode on that. So Howard's kind of doing the I told you so. Then we cut to them at Arnold's, and everybody is admiring the car. I don't know if they painted it or something, because I'm telling you, in the scene when they're in the driveway, it did not have a headlight. And so everybody's like, oh, like Ralph Malph is there, and he's like, wow, this is some kind of cool car. And then they're like, what do you think, Fonzie? And Fonzie stops, and I'm like, he's gonna talk. This is the moment he becomes a full-fledged character, but no, he just gives, I believe, the double thumbs up, at least a single thumbs up. So Fonz approves of the car, and Betsy and Lucy, I still don't remember their names, I believe are in the car, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah.
And just going back to when you were talking about the family car, maybe get yourself some girls that aren't as shallow. Do you know what I mean? That wouldn't mind that you're driving the family car.
At least they have a car, you know?
Yeah, a car that actually runs, which we'll get to in a minute. So they're in the car with the girls, and the girls now decide they want to go to the sock hop with Potsie and Richie because of their car. And then they're like, hey, will you drive us home? And they're like, oh, we can't right now. And then you're kind of like thinking, wait a minute. They can't. Is what's going to happen? And yes, the car didn't run. So then they're saying they're going to sit there until Arnold's closes, which is very late, which we'll get to a little later, and push the car back to his house.
Especially since it seems like they're open really late.
Yeah, and we will get to that very shortly, kind of near the end. So they're going to the sock hop with Betsy and Lucy. Then the next scene happens. We see Richie and Potsie in the garage. Potsie's like, well, Fonz is going to fix it. And then Richie's like, oh, Fonz said he would take a look at it. So Fonzie is so cool, he won't even commit to completely helping his friends. Maybe he'll take a look at it. Maybe he'll fix it. Maybe he won't.
Isn't Potsie also teaching Richie how to treat a girl?
Yes.
So I think he put his arm on Richie.
Yes. As they're waiting for the Fonz, Potsie decides it's a good time to tell Richie how to do the move because they're in the car together in the front seat, which, you know, shenanigans are about to happen because they are. And Potsie's like, hey, you want to pretend to lock the car, but you're really putting your arm around her. So he shows that. And then Fonzie walks in as this is happening. Potsie has his arm around Richie.
And then isn't he just like, oh, wait,
yeah, then they like try and describe it, but like Fonz is so cool he doesn't say anything, but you know he's thinking in his head like something. So and let's talk about this. The Fonz comes in. He's not wearing that gray jacket we have only seen him in so far. He's wearing a new kind of white fabric jacket with a collar up. So a new jacket for the Fonz, not quite the leather jacket yet.
Was this on the same day too? Like he's just changing jackets?
I wonder if the Fonz was changing jackets kind of hour by hour.
Speaking of that scene, noticing Fonzie is always walking in on Potsie, like with the bra, and then
that's a great observation. I really would like to know what at this point Fonzie thinks of Potsie because he's walked in on quite a number of occasions, just in 1.5 episodes of Potsie doing stuff. So he comes in, he has them open the hood. And now he kind of looks at it, but then he talks. He's like, wrench. And then they give him a wrench. Screwdriver. Then they give him a screwdriver. Then he goes, leg. And then Richie's like, what? And then Fonzie just repeats himself. He doesn't explain himself. He repeats himself, leg. So Richie puts his leg up and he wipes the oil on Richie's leg, which is kind of funny.
Well, he couldn't just like ask for a towel or anything.
Yeah.
Just, like,
it's like, hey, yeah.
Leg.
There you go, buddy. Yeah, I'm the Fonz. You come in and you ask me to fix your car. You're getting some of this, pal. So then the car starts up. Potsie and Richie are excited. And they're like, well, what can we do for you, Fonz? Anything that you want, even though they spent their $175 on the car. And there is this eagle emblem on the car, like a kind of like
golden.
Yeah, kind of like back in the day, if you remember, even maybe now, for all I know, Mercedes-Benz had this Mercedes-Benz logo on their car, like a kind of medallion that was on the front that I believe Mike D from the Beastie Boys wore around his neck. And then they would get taken because other people would take the Mercedes-Benz and put them around their neck like Mike D, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I'm not a history buff. So just like that, like a kind of eagle thing on the top of the car, on the hood, that's what Fonzie wants. And they're like, oh man, that's the best thing about this car. So Fonzie wants the best thing with this car. They give him the eagle. That's Fonzie's payment. And we move on.
Are we sure that's an eagle? Because we can't really tell by the colors. It's just in gold.
It's some type of
bird.
I'm kind of just guessing it's an eagle. For all I know, it could have been a robin, but I don't know why there'd be a robin on a car. But, it's some type of bird. Fonzie takes. Okay. Then we cut to the parking lot of the sock hop. Betsy and Lucy are at the sock hop, and, Potsie makes mention of that they have 19 starts. I don't know when Fonzie told them that, hey, he's going to fix it, but they're only going to be able to start their car 19 times. But here we are.
Was this I might be thinking of a different scene, but is this the scene where she's like, orange or strawberry?
No, that's a little later. We'll get there. So 19 starts, and then either Betsy or Lucy makes mention of, 17 of those were in my parents' driveway, so apparently they only have 2 starts. We're in the parking lot. They're all excited. They go in the sock hop. Hound Dog is playing in the sock hop. They show a band that's supposedly playing it. It's not Elvis Presley's version. So again, this is the second week in a row that Hound Dog is playing. I'm just wondering the logistics of the payment that they had to give Elvis Presley. I don't even know if Elvis Presley wrote Hound Dog. I don't know if Elvis Presley wrote anything or he just sang it. Didn't do the research, but Hound Dog 2 weeks in a row is kind of crazy. Yeah. So Hound Dog is playing. And as they're taking their shoes off because it's a sock hop, the band stops playing Hound Dog. And the MC comes on and he's like, hey, everybody, thanks for joining us at the sock hop tonight. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Did they not have any clocks in the 50s? Like, didn't they know? Okay, I know that they had car problems, but didn't they see maybe in the parking lot? Did anyone wear a watch that like, hey, the sock hop is almost over. Why are we even going at this point?
Yeah, and also, how long did they have to drive? Was it 3 hours they said or something? Or am I thinking of something else?
You might be thinking of how long it took to start the car. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But you'd think that they know that they were kind of in a race against the clock and that the sock hop was ending. Like, it just seemed very odd to me. Maybe it was supposed to be for humor. I would assume it was, that the second they get there, the sock hop is over. But you would think that out of the 4 of them, one would say, hey, look at the time. This is almost done. What's the point now?
I'm pretty sure they also go like, geez, so that we spent $2 on this.
Yes, that's right. $2 a dance. So I guess it must have been $2 each. And they dance, which I don't even think they really dance. So yeah, they got maybe like 20 good seconds of Hound Dog dancing before the MC came on and said, and also to be safe driving. He did tell them to be safe driving. So yes, the sock hop is over. So they decide to go to the, quote, submarine races, end of quote. Have you ever heard submarine races before?
No, I'm still confuzzled.
Yeah, that's a good word, yes.
Because, even after watching it, I don't know, how would that work? Like, hearing it, I'm thinking of, an actual submarine, submarines just racing underwater.
Yeah, so I think that's the whole thing is that, you can't see submarines since they are underwater. So I think it's a euphemism for going to the water and then making out, which I think they actually said that's what it meant later. But yes, they're going to go to the submarine races. So then they get in the car, I would assume, because then we see them in the car at the water. They don't show the water, but apparently they're at the submarine races. Yes. And then Richie and Potsie are with their respective ladies, one in the front, one in the back. Here's where it gets a little spicy, if you will. Did you want to mention what the lady with Potsie says to him?
So basically she's asking strawberry, orange, and then Potsie's all kind of like, oh, strawberry all the way. I want to go with orange at all.
Yeah, I think orange makes him allergic. And it says, so She's talking about lipstick, ladies and gentlemen. And Potsie says that he's allergic. One of them makes him. Oh, then that, I guess there are some kind of allergies back then. Going back to Ralph Mouth being allergic to lemons. Yeah, so he's allergic to one of them. And then the odd thing is, like, she's like, me too. So she was going to put on lipstick that she was allergic to. And not only that, she has lipstick at her disposal that she's allergic to.
Yeah, what's the point in that?
Yeah, I don't know. I really think, like, if the fact that the family car wasn't good enough for these two, the fact that she's walking around with lipstick she's allergic to, should have been the deal breaker.
That just sounds like a death wish.
Yeah. So then, she's putting the lipstick on, and then Richie's trying to make a move on the lady he's with in the front. So Richie moves the seat and both of them fall back. So they fall onto Potsie and his lady friend. And it is while the lady friend is applying the non-allergic lipstick. So it gets all over her face. And then Potsie's like, my knees. So they're having quite the mishap here at the submarine races.
Don't they move the seats forward or something?
Yes, they move the seats forward and they're back to it.
I think what happened after that, he's making out with her.
Yeah, they're making out.
And then she's just like, wow, you're getting into this or whatever. And he's like, oh no, my knees just hurt.
He hits the horn on accident and it wouldn't stop. Yes. And then I believe he goes to the hood and he pulls out a bunch of wires, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Yeah. He's looking for a wire.
Yeah.
And he just pulls them all out.
Yeah. He pulls them all out. And then I guess we realize that they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
There goes curfew.
So they're kind of stuck there, considering Richie has all the wires from his car in his hand. We cut to Marion and Howard in bed, and the phone rings for Howard Cunningham, and apparently it's either Betsy or Lucy's father, and the kids are not home yet, which here's what I'm thinking first and foremost. Why are they asleep when their minor son is not home yet?
Yeah, shouldn't they be concerned?
Yeah, because it should theoretically be past Richie's curfew too, not just Betsy or Lucy. So they should be in the same situation as Betsy or Lucy's father, wondering where their child is in a car that doesn't start, that had 19 starts, that's 17 of them. And if I'm doing my math correctly, they have to be at 19 starts.
Going back from what you said, they
Yes.
might not have had clocks or something.
Yeah.
Considering, with that whole whatchamacallit dance or something.
Yeah, but apparently Betsy's or Lucy's father did have a clock because he's calling, waking up Marion and Howard Cunningham. I wanted to know where his daughter is because it's past her curfew. And they even mention it's past midnight. And Howard is very, again, problematic, very nonchalant about it. Not like, whoa, my son's not home. He's in a lemon of a car.
I feel like they would at least feel that, it's been quite some time since I've seen him.
The sock hop ended hours ago, apparently, because, they got in right when the sock hop ended. So, and also, now that you mention it, if they were stuck in Betsy Lou or Mary Lou's driveway, wouldn't the father have said, hey, since he's the only one with the clock, say, hey, you guys, the sock hop's almost over.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So Howard gets this call. He says, Richie's dependable. Don't worry about it. He's so unconcerned with it. He goes back to sleep. And his wife, Marion, says, how can you sleep in a time like this? And Howard's like, I just shut one eye, then I shut the other eye. It's easy.
There goes the humor again, his negative humor.
Yeah, negative. Yeah, Howard Cunningham seems to be the king of negative humor because, he cares not only for his son, but his son's best friend or one of his best friends, Potsie. Again, I don't know. I felt like Ralph Malph was one of their best friends, but it doesn't seem like he is yet. And also the two lady friends that they had. He seems to have no concern for 4 juveniles at this point.
Yeah, it's, man.
Yeah. So then Marion somehow talks him in to go in to see what's going on. And then after she does it, after all this coaxing, she's like, what a good man. What a great father. And she's not saying it sarcastically. She literally had to talk for what seemed like 30 minutes, but was probably 30 seconds And yet then she's like, what a great father that he actually got up to try and find these 4 juveniles that are missing.
Yeah.
So Howard gets in his car and he pulls into Arnold's. And here's the deal. When the father of Betsy Lou called, it was past midnight. We don't know when. Apparently only Betsy Lou's father knew because he's the only one with a clock in that town. Apparently Arnold's doesn't have a clock because Arnold's is still open after midnight. And if that weren't enough, our hop waitress puts a tray on his car and he's like, I'm not eating here. And he goes inside. And there must have been at least 30 juveniles, I would assume that they're in high school, dancing past midnight.
Also, Potsie and Richie had to stay past midnight for their car.
Oh, yeah, when they said they had to wait until Arnold's closed. Yeah, God knows how long they were out that night because apparently Arnold's doesn't close until really late since they had to stay so no one would see them push their car. Yeah, good point. So Howard comes in and he sees Fonzie and he's like, hey, are you Fonzie? So this is the first face-to-face meeting between Fonzie and Howard Cunningham, which will come into play later. That's one thing I do remember. And Fonzie has his eyes closed, slow dancing with a girl who also has her eyes closed. And he's like, can I talk to you, Fonzie? And then Fonzie summons Ralph Mouth to hold the girl up because her eyes are closed. I guess she's so excited to dance with Fonzie. Her eyes are closed and she's just dancing. So then Howard questions the Fonz. He's like, hey, do you know where Richie and Potsie are? Which, like, doesn't he? He's the father.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, he should be the one to know, not Fonzie.
Yeah. He's asking Fonzie for it. And Fonzie's like, I do, but I don't. And Howard's like, what? And he's like, it's an unwritten law that you don't, I don't think he says snitch, but like, you're not supposed to tell the parents where they are, even if you know. And then I don't know how Howard convinces them. Maybe he says like, well, they have a terrible car that you didn't really fix correctly. I can't remember.
I think he said something like it's for their safety.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah, it's for the safety, which like apparently safety isn't a big deal there because, again, you have all these children's dancing. They're not really children. They're probably like 16 or 17, I would assume, dancing in Arnold's. I mean, they could be college students. I have no idea the clientele of Arnold's, but here's the deal. We do know it's past midnight. All these people are dancing, which I don't know why they just didn't go to Arnold's to dance. It would have saved them $2.
Yeah.
So then Fonzie finally tells, he's like, hey, you got to come over here, pretend like you're not talking to me. It's all secretive because Fonzie ain't no snitch. He doesn't say that. Then he tells Richie's dad that they're going to the submarine races, and Richie's dad has no idea what submarine races are, which most, I would assume, it doesn't seem like anybody does. Besides, Richie and Potsie and the rest of the gang.
And then doesn't he kind of like get upset or something?
Who Howard?
Like, yeah, he's like, what? And then like,
I think so. I should have taken notes.
And
yeah,
then,
I'm going to say you did.
Fonzie's just like, hey, quiet down. You're going to ruin my reputation.
Yes, that's right. Yes, sir. That's correct. Yeah. So like Howard freaks out to the Fonz's news. So he meets the Fonz. So it's the first meeting, I would assume, of Howard Cunningham and the Fonz. Howard then decides to go try and find them at the submarine races. And then they show Howard come out of Arnold's, and on the tray that the car hop gave him was a burger and a malt. And he's like, hey, I didn't order this. And I mean, I don't know why they did that. Maybe it was a laugh. I don't remember hearing a laugh track after that, but they cut to the submarine races.
They're fixing it. And then they fix it.
Yeah.
And then they go back into the car. And then they're like, oh, shoot. We used 19 of our
starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. The night, because they only had 19 starts. Yeah.
So they're like, geez. And then they're like, well, we're going to have to push this or something.
Yes. And then is this when Howard shows up or not yet?
Yeah, I think this is when
then Howard, and does Howard yell at them? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
He shows up, but then, I think they decide to push the car. And that's when, does it start or do they just push it into the lake, river, body of water?
I think they were beginning to, and then they hear him yell.
Yes, that's right. They begin, and then they're like, huh? and then they turn around and the car goes into the body of water. And then here's the other kicker. This is like the one redeeming thing of Howard Cunningham so far. He says to Potts and Richie, well, go help them. So they didn't even think to go. Their dates are literally in a car submerging in a body of water. They don't even think to go help their dates.
They're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know what Potsie's deal it is. I mean, I guess I could kind of see Richie because, his dad is going back to sleep instead of trying to find his son. But they're not doing anything. But then did you notice this? They cut to Howard watching them help. And there's a guy that looks like he's wearing Richie's sweater. I mean, I assume that was probably a popular sweater back in the 1950s. And you can tell it's not Richie, but it looks like he's wearing the same sweater as Richie.
Also, going to where they were in the body of water.
Yeah.
Their dates, I feel like they were kind of just sitting in the car. Like they weren't really trying to get out of it.
Yeah, there was kind of enough time where maybe they could have popped a door open if the doors work. I don't know if Potsie locked or Richie locked it to try and put his arm around, but still they could have probably maybe popped the lock and just kind of jumped out. They kind of just sat there for quite a bit as it rolled into the body of water.
Yeah, and I don't think they had any seatbelts on, or I don't even know if seatbelts existed.
Yeah, I don't. That's a good point. I don't know if seatbelts existed in the 1950s. I mean, they may have, but which that probably wouldn't have been good if they were strapped in. Now that I think about it, in that body of water, what if they got jammed? I don't know. But so then with coaxing from the father, Potsie and Richie then do decide apparently to help them. They don't show it, but they do show Richie and Potsie kind of leaving to help. Then we cut to back in the driveway of the Cunningham house. Marion and Betsy Lou's father comes out, and Betsy Lou's father's wearing a trench coat, and he comes out all concerned, and the two girls are sharing Howard's trench coat, which I didn't see Howard wearing a trench coat earlier. Did you?
Not that I remember.
Maybe he just keeps it in his car for situations like this. I don't know. Apparently a trench coat is very popular with the 1950s fathers. So they're in a trench coat. Richie and Potsie don't look like they have a drop of water on them, even though they allegedly saved the two girls that are wearing the trench coat.
Maybe the girls actually did something about it. Who even knows?
Did something about what's that, sir?
Like they actually tried escaping.
Oh, you think that maybe that they escaped before Richie and Potsie had the chance because they took so long, maybe? Yeah, that could be, but Potsie does make a remark later about how he has to go home and dry his wallet out. So his wallet's wet for some reason.
But he's fully dry.
Yeah, they're both fully dry. And you would also think Howard would be upset about I don't know what car interior is made of the 1950s, but having four wet people in his car. Yeah, so the father comes out and he's all concerned because apparently he's the only one that knows how to tell time in the city. And he takes the two girls. He doesn't really say anything, but he's all concerned. And they make some comment like, hey, that's my jacket. So Howard's more concerned about his jacket than that his teenage son almost drowned two ladies.
And could have also drowned himself.
Yeah, could have drowned and could have drowned. The four of them could have drowned. He's more concerned about his jacket. So we cut to the dinner table. Now, here's something we talked about last week about the older brother, Chuck. Now, Chuck is supposed to be at college, but I noticed there were only 4 places at the dinner table. There wasn't an empty chair for Chuck. There was a chair for Joni, a chair for Richie, a chair for Howard, and a chair for Marion. So, seems very odd that they would not still have an empty chair for Chuck if Chuck is still on. So I'm wondering, which we'll find out soon enough, if Chuck was written out after the very first episode.
I mean, maybe he's still at basketball practice.
Yeah, I think he was at basketball practice for the 10 years this was on. But it'll be interesting to see. Maybe they just were like, hey, Chuck was on break that time. Let's just not have any empty space. Or it could just be like, hey, Chuck who? So we will find out about that. So they're at the dinner table, and apparently they somehow got, they might have even said how they got the car out of the water, but they sold the car to Fonzie for $25. And then Fonzie, being the cool genius he is, sells the car to someone else for 50. So Fonzie made a cool 25 bucks off of that car that used to be in a body of water.
I mean, pretty sweet deal.
Yes. So that pretty much wraps the episode up. It ends with Fonzie really getting the upper hand on everybody. One thing that we failed to mention that happened sometime was Ralph Malph does mention Hickey. Again, like I think he says that those two girls give good hickeys or you'll get a hickey. So we are 2 for 2, batting 1,000 on hickey mentions in Happy Days episodes so far.
Yes. So going back before that, all that chaos happened.
Yes.
They were like when they went to go see submarine racing.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So I remember when Potsie and the one girl were like making out and whatnot.
Yes.
He mentioned that, oh, hey, did you see that the Giants might be moving to San Francisco?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that feels like something that a writer back then was like, damn, how do we make this seem like we're in the 50s when we're really in the 70s? And they're like, I don't know, get a newspaper. Well, they couldn't have Googled it back then. So they're like, I don't know, mention something about, the Giants, going to San Francisco. And they're like, oh yeah, let's do that. That's what it's kind of struck me as, is like something kind of thrown in to be like in case anybody was like, sitting, maybe having an old style and kind of forgetting about the day and thinking like, wait, what decade is this in? And then they just mention that. And then the guy watching, if you will, is like, oh, wait, no, this is the 50s because that's when the Giants were moving to San Francisco.
It's kind of, I didn't even know the Giants really moved, honestly.
They were in New York. Remember the New York Giants?
Yeah.
I think we've talked. Yeah, the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Then they became. Then there was the New York Football Giants. But yes. So then the end credits, they do mention featuring Joni and the actress's name, who I can't remember at this point. But so she was at the end credits, and I am not sure. Again, we didn't take notes. I know that last week for the first episode, the Fonz, Henry Winkler, was in the end credits. I don't know if he was.
Also in the end credits, we see the family there, like not just 4 of them, we see 5 of them.
Yeah, so apparently Chuck, he might have been written out of the show, we don't know, but they didn't change the end credits yet. So they do that where they're fighting over, and it is the Happy Days theme song that we have at the end again, and not Rock Around the Clock. But Rock Around the Clock was still the opening song in the opening credits.
Yes.
So that pretty much wraps up episode 2, season 1, The Lemon of Happy Days. Episode 2, how would you compare? It might be comparing apples to oranges or perhaps apples to lemons. Yeah. But how would you compare episode 1, season 1 to episode 2, season 1? Did you enjoy it more? Did you enjoy the first one? Tell us your thoughts.
I would say, like, it's not as explicit as the first one.
True.
Especially, I'm still, like, I wouldn't say amazed, but, like,
yeah,
by how they were able to, I mean, maybe they didn't, but got away with all of that in the first episode.
Yeah, and I will say, like, episode 2, they're doing, quote, submarine races, end of quote, which is them making out, doing the whole thing with, like, putting the arm around, which, like, isn't, like, too bad, I guess, for the 70s. But, the submarine races, Ralph Malph talking about a hickey, those kinds of things, still, like, not totally family friendly, but not as bad as the first episode, if you will.
Yeah.
So you've seen 2 episodes of Happy Days. What are your general thoughts about Happy Days so far in just the 2 episodes?
Well, I'm still just like, I don't know if it gets more family friendly or not.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But I just gotta say, it's still like kind of crazy to me. I thought this show was gonna be like about music or something, maybe just seeing that jukebox.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't. I feel like it's always just like Richie's always like trying to get a girl or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's been so far. It'll be interesting to see if they keep it up for the rest of the episodes. Again, I don't remember a lot about it. Like, I could definitely see the Fonz trying to get a girl because Fonz is the cool guy. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what more there is, because you're right. Happy Days, it kind of seems like innocent times back in the 50s, but so far not completely innocent that we've seen. And it does seem like the jukebox and the music are kind of like minor characters compared to the major characters that we see, which I can kind of see. But yeah, so that is Happy Days season 1, episode 2, The Lemon, that we've seen. All right, so this is the end of the episode. 253 more episodes. This is what happens, everybody, at the end of the episode. We're about to find out whether this will be the last episode of the Potsie Chronicles or whether the Potsie Chronicles will continue. So, do you want to watch another episode?
Yes.
Okay. That actually had me sweating, my friends. That was a little longer yes that I've been accustomed to. Although there was only one other time that we did this, but that was a little bit of hesitation. What, if I may ask, what in that episode made you hesitate so much? Or did you just do that for dramatic effect?
Both.
Okay. What in that episode made you hesitate? Just give me one example. Although I'm sure there's many, but what?
Ralph mouths hickeys.
Ralph Felsig. Okay, here's the thing.
And also just like, I know it's the name of the podcast, but
yeah.
Potsie.
Okay. Potsie, I can't really say much on, but for Ralph Mouse Hickeys, I would assume that that's going to kind of taper off. I don't think I've seen all these episodes and I never remember Ralph Mouth talking about hickeys. So again, it could be I just don't remember it, but I'm fairly certain that that's not going to be a running theme of the episode. So Potsie, I can't promise anything on Potsie about if that's going to make you want to tap out. But Ralph, the other one, I think I can safely say Ralph Mouth probably won't be talking about hickeys for every episode.
I only say Potsie because like he could be kind of crazy. I mean, like I don't hate him, especially since he's the name of the podcast.
Yes,
but like he's just like kind of crazy. Just like he's always like up to something, especially when it's right in front of the Fonz.
Well, that I think is gonna. Yeah, I mean, I think that Potsie's always gonna do like kind of crazy stuff. I don't know if like in every episode he does something in front of the Fonz, but I do pretty much think in every episode he does something crazy. So if it's more or less about him doing something crazy in front of the Fonz, that also might be alleviated. So, but we will find out. We will be back next week with episode 3, season 1 of the Potsie Chronicles. If you like this, please like, subscribe, follow, whatever on your streaming service that you can do to help us. Share it with everyone you know. Again, if you don't like it, please keep it to yourself.
Even share it to your pets.
Yes, we would love to have some pets listen to us. Thank you. So again, thank you for listening. You can catch us next week with episode 3, season 1 of Happy Days, the Potsie Chronicles.
What's Happy Days?